Cool, we got things recording. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Cool. Sorry for the delay. Thank you everyone for being here. Appreciate you all tuning in from your busy lives to listen in. So, yeah, and if any time during the talk, we'll have a Q&A at the end. Um, and if any time at during the talk, if you have a question, just please go ahead and pop it into the chat. Um, we'll see what we get to. So, the title of this talk is Don't Die Waiting: Burnout, Purpose, and the Cost of Putting Life on Hold. So, just a quick disclaimer, the information presented in this talk is intended for educational and informational purposes only. Does not constitute for medical, psychological, legal, or therapeutic advice. While the topics discussed may relate to therapeutic practices, psychedelic substances, and consent, none of the content should be interpreted as medical guidance or recommendations for medical treatment, diagnosis, or legal action. Cool? So, a little about me. If you're new to me, if you found this talk somewhere on the internet or in a group chat, my name's Josh Jupiter. I'm the founder of Brooklyn Balance LLC. I'm a psychedelic integration coach, facilitator, consultant, entrepreneur. A little background on me is I worked in the film industry for a really long time. And before that, I suffered from debilitating panic attacks. And so for most of my 20s, I was on SSRIs. And there is a theme here of burnout and psychedelics in this talk. And so for me, I had my first life-changing psychedelic experience in 2003. I had some profound insights at that time, but what I didn't have was integration. I didn't know how to take those changes and bring them into my life. Today, things are different. In 2016, I weaned off SSRIs and I began to explore psychedelics with my therapist and community members. And then about 6 years ago, I pushed pause from working in the film production because I got burned out. Today, things are different for me. So in 2022, I founded Brooklyn Balance LLC, and I've done a lot of different trainings. I've trained with MAPS, I trained with TAM integration, and today I'm a full-time psychedelic integration service provider. My life today is also very different. Um, it's just I would say there's more joy in my life today compared to how it used to be. And that was just working all the time, working like 60, 80 hours a week. So to get things started on the story of burnout, right? Even if you're working 30 hours a week, that's a lot of time. Humans were not meant to be working in front of a computer, slaving away for a paycheck. We were really meant to live in tribe. And so what we're experiencing a lot today in society is a lot of exhaustion. But burnout isn't just exhaustion. It's the cost of living in a future that never arrives. So there's always going to be a carrot. We're always going to be chasing something. It could be your next promotion, it could be the next raise, the next milestone. I'll do it when things calm down. Maybe put a one in the chat if any of that resonates with you, if that's something you've heard people say or you're saying yourself. Maybe you're waiting for a big bonus or the company to get bought out by another company so you can cash out your stock options. Just kicking the can down the road. The thing about the nervous system is it doesn't know that these things are temporary. The body experiences it as chronic delay. So just take a moment if it's safe for you, if you're in a place where you can take a breath and you can notice your body and you can notice your energy right now in this moment. Just noticing, not trying to fix, not trying to change anything. Maybe putting a hand on your heart and the other on your belly. And just notice. And if you're open to it, um, if you could share in the chat, what might you be noticing right now? Or even if you want to just unmute yourself and just share openly, what's present for you?
I can start.
Yeah.
Um, Hi, I'm Christina. Um, I am touching the a sense of like my scarcity mindset and how entrenched in binding that that feels in my body, and I forget and like lose touch that that's how I exist a lot of the time.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Can anyone else relate to that in this moment? Perhaps some scarcity?
I can definitely relate to scarcity, but in this moment, it's actually kind of funny. I'm here kind of, I didn't think about this terminology until just now, but I kind of have cold feet with committing to starting my business and the things I want to do. And what I felt was my feet are actually cold. Just, I think it's more of a coincidence than an actual embodiment of of my fear. But um, I don't know, yeah, I feel actually pretty calm overall and just relaxed and feeling my breath. It's just nice to check in with the body.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing. Sounds like we're in some interesting places at the moment. Victor shares, I have OCPD and there's an ever present feeling that there's something to do. I can relate to always feeling like there's something to do. So, what is burnout actually? So burnout is not a motivation problem. Burnout is not laziness. Burnout is not weakness and it's not chronic imbalance. Research shows burnout correlates with prolonged stress, lack of recovery, and loss of meaning, not lack of effort. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress. Chronic stress exacerbates cortisol dysregulation and the nervous system staying in sympathetic dominance when that happens. The nervous system doesn't understand that what you're experiencing is temporary. It only knows what's happening now, right? We could be thinking about the future. We could be thinking about the carrot. We could be thinking about, oh, it's going to get better. Or I'm going to do it later. But in that moment of stress, your nervous system only knows that is happening. So fill in the blank silently. What are you rushing for these days? And if it feels good when it comes to you, maybe pop it in the chat. financial security. Some things that I might have said in the past were promotion, stability. When I retire, I'll do it. Stable client base. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So we're always moving towards something. And this is just how, really, this is how life is because there's always going to be another goal. There's always going to be another ask. Your boss or your client is always going to have something that they want from you. There's always going to be another demand. And it's part of the system we're in, it's part of the life we're in, it's part of the society, capitalism, the way careers for us are constructed. So we're in a system where the system doesn't have a stop button. The system never tells you to stop. It just wants you to go and go and go and go. So ask yourself in this moment, what are you postponing until later? What are you holding off on? What are you saying, I'll do tomorrow? I'll do it next year. I'll do it when I retire. And when it feels good, just pop it in the chat. Or if someone's feeling brave, go ahead and unmute yourself and share.
Keep sharing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Cool. I would like to put energy into um, taking insights that I have kind of in a journal form and to make them into writing that I feel like are is for an audience and to share with others through coaching and a therapy business.
Got it. I'm curious if you're open to sharing why have you been putting that off?
Feeling that I'm gonna get it wrong, that it will be um, it'll never be good enough. It won't meet my level of perfection, and or people will criticize me for some of my word choices, or that I wasn't as culturally sensitive as I needed to be, or whatever the narrative is.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate. The voice in my head telling me, oh, it's not quite ready, or what will other people think?
Yeah.
Can anyone else relate? Does that resonate with anyone? Yeah. Yeah, so Christina, you're not alone. So there is a framework that really resonated with me in a book called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. And it's very confronting because it's true. So there's the three life resources. There's health, there's money, and there's free time. And you never have all three in full abundance. So in our, you know, adulthood of our 20s and 30s, we have more time. Likely in our 20s, we can take more risks. We can hop on a plane and go somewhere. We have a lot of energy. We can stay up all night. That stays with us probably in our 30s too. 40s to 50s, it gets a little more balanced out. you see in this diagram here. You got some money and you have time and you have your health. As you get older, you probably have, if you're working and you're saving your money, you have a lot more money and you have a lot more time. Maybe you've retired, but your health's not as good. Tired, or maybe overcame a sickness or an illness. The body just is not as strong as it once was. So things are different and there's an imbalance. I like to think as health as the master currency. Without health, it's like, what's the point of having money? So, I'll tell you a brief story. This is a photo of me at my computer doing payroll for a film production. And it was very typical for me to work 60 hours a week. I was on call. It was like 7 a.m. Check my emails, nonstop emails, big and small film productions, traveling all around New York City, parts of the world, and then like, stop until I drop. And when I would finish a production, I'd be so exhausted, I didn't know what next to do because I was just so exhausted. But what happened was my body forced me to have a conversation with it. Um, I experienced some GI issues. I got very bad acid reflux. I had developed on and off an autoimmune condition. And, I could just sense that my body was in a chronic state of stress. And furthermore, it was impacting my life. It was impacting my social life. It was impacting just everything because my life was work. And I was just focused on the work because I was focused on money. I was focused on power. I was focused on up leveling. I was focused on the next big thing, and my body was like, bro, like, you got to chill out. What I realized after a lot of that is I had been living on hold. So people don't usually see their to-do list and they may experience and feel grief for the time they postponed. What could I have been doing with my time rather than just trying to work all the time and trying to make money? What could have been? What did I wish I do? What do I regret? So, the danger isn't the insight of these things. It's what happens when people don't know how to respond to it. And so sometimes we see things in psychedelic experiences that give us insight into our life as to why we do what we do. Why am I feeling scarcity? Why do I feel like I'm going to stop when I'm making enough passive income? Why, you know, why am I dedicating my life to being a body worker where I'm giving so much body work to people that it's actually causing me to get injured? And so psychedelics can sort of shine a mirror on these things. And we can get insight into how the same risk is not the same at every age. So when you're younger, the downside of risk is often low because you have time. you have resiliency, the ability to recover. If something doesn't work out, you can course correct, you can reload, you can try again. As we get older, the equation changes. The downside increases physically, emotionally, energetically too. But not because we're incapable, but because recovery costs more. So burnout happens often when people are still living as if they have infinite recovery time when they don't. So it's like, let's say you were a raver when you were a teenager. And if you're living, then you're 50 and you're living your life going out every night raving like you were a teenager, you're not recovering as much as you need to. So often when we're working a lot, we're getting stressed out and we need to chill and rest and relax. So notice what risks you're still carrying as if time were unlimited. Maybe it's like going out and drinking. Oh, I drank a lot last night. I'm really feeling it today. Maybe it's, you know, partying too much, exercising too much. That's a thing for me. I'll exercise too much and I'll start to really feel it the next day. So many people burn out not because they're taking too many risks, but because they postponed all meaningful ones. They keep choosing the safe option, even when the safety no longer protects their health, curiosity, or aliveness, right? So we're starting to wobble. We're pushing through. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. But the body and the mind are pointing to all directions of slowdown. Over time, the body feels mismatched. It's working too hard. It's doing what's expected, but we're not investing in experiences and growth or alignment. Psychedelic experiences often surface the truth very clearly, not as a command to quit, but as a question of what am I waiting for? So, what are you waiting for? Right? Maybe pop in the chat. It's like, what are you waiting for? What, let's say you did have unlimited money. What are you postponing? Or is that what you're waiting for? Are you waiting for money? Are you waiting for the bonus? Are you waiting for the promotion? Are you just waiting for the right time, the right season? Jordan shares, I honestly don't know what I'm waiting for anymore. I have zero valid excuses, but I still keep avoiding it.
I'd love to share.
Yeah, go
Can
for
you
it.
hear me?
Yeah.
What you made me realize is that I keep thinking that someone outside of myself will know like the better way or the exact that will support everything just expanding. And so you also made me realize that, yeah, I don't like I have everything actually ready for me. Like I have resources in the sense of I'm working on all of my creative uh, endeavors, and I have the content that I need, and I have my own center, and I have my self love in a whole new way. So yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing. Haley shares, I'm waiting until my art is good enough. Christina shares, reconnecting with my essence and the acting from an inner place that is the me of me, the self in IFS terms. Karina, a feeling that it won't work out for me, or a feeling of being unsure of what the best decision is for me to pursue. Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing a bit of a theme of inside inside our heads, the voice, as well as external factors as well. These are all really interesting things to for us to consider. And as we're considering them, we can consider what changes we want to make, right? So we don't need to do a whole dramatic life overhaul, right? We can be wise and we can work with what we have. We can adjust course and go slow while there's room to gently do so. So, it's like, all right, I'm burned out. I'm going to quit my job. Well, that's a big overhaul, right? But how can you make some small changes in between to reclaim your time, your health, your sense of agency, rather than deferring everything to retirement or someday I'll do it. Someday I'll be good enough, or someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll climb that mountain. The nervous system doesn't need guarantees. It needs movement, honesty, and a sense that life is not completely on hold. The more we feel like we're on hold, I'll do it later, the more confused the nervous system gets. So, what risks have you postponed and what has that cost you? Maybe it's recently or maybe it's in the past. Just I invite you to take a moment for that. And if it feels good to you, you can pop it in the chat. Or, I've been really enjoying hearing voices on this talk. Usually people tend to be pretty quiet, shy. So what might you have been postponing? And what has that cost you? Asking someone out. Right. Okay. So it's like, hey, I have a crush on this person. I want to go out with them. I didn't ask them out. I'll never know. It's the same thing. We were in a holding pattern, hesitation, confusion. I don't know. I don't know. And how good do you think it will feel just to have gotten an answer and known? And how good it would have even gotten felt to get rejected because you'd feel proud of yourself for asking the question, making the ask, making the request. Missed out on fun, sharing, and new moments with someone, or just knowing that I took the leap. I think I postponed making real friends in college. That has cost me a sense of being known by intimate companions who have witnessed me grow and vice versa. Yeah, friendship, right? So it's not just like work, it's not money, it's not vacation, it's our social lives too. And we can get burned out in our social lives. Am I postponing ending this relationship? Am I giving too much in this relationship? Is it draining my energy? So when it comes to integration, it's a good question I like to ask is what needs more care now? What can't be postponed anymore? So maybe you did a lot of breath work the other week and you had a vision of something. Or maybe you had a mushroom experience and the mushrooms gave you some insight and you came out And maybe there's some confusion. Maybe there's some seeking. Maybe it's, I don't need to seek anymore. So, what's the balance for that? Karina shares from before, postponed starting making some sort of way of making money remotely on my own. And had I started months ago, who knows where I would have been. And so, with these things, right? What needs more care right now? So, if you do want the next time you see someone, you do want to ask them out. Or the next time you talk with your supervisor, your boss, and you want to set some boundaries about how to have better conditions at work, what's present for you? You can pop it in the chat or unmute yourself. Simply put, it's where do you need to put more attention right now? Where is your energy going? Where is it being restored? Right? So when you give energy, let's say you're doing body work, you're giving and you're giving. The end of the day, how are you restoring your energy? How are you giving back to yourself? Or let's say, you're running a household, taking care of everyone in the household. How are you restoring your energy? How do you make time and space for yourself? And if you notice that you're giving and you're going and you're going and you're not stopping, what is this pace costing you? Your body, relationships, joy, curiosity, you know, overall health, right? For me, I was getting acid reflux, autoimmune condition, lack of social life. And so just, sitting with this for yourself, because uncomfortable silence can be, I could say, not uncomfortable silence, but I could say silence can be uncomfortable for people. And asking these questions can be tough for people because it brings up a lot. And so, what are you saving your life for? If you're doing this now, what are you hoping to do later? And if you can do more of that now rather than later, how can you balance that out? Haley shares, I feel like I missed out on my 20s. I just turned 29 and am missing some of the things I thought I would have by now, mostly a rich network of friends. Yeah, friendship, community, experiences, doing things together, congregating, gathering.
Just being still with myself too, I think. Really a lot of value in alone time for me.
Say that again, please.
Oh, stillness and alone time.
Right. Stillness and alone time because we're just so busy and we're always doing things for people. So, how can we have more stillness and more alone time. So you don't need to burn it down, right? I'm always saying you don't need to burn it down. Don't quit your job. Small changes count. Rebalancing is subtle, not dramatic, right? If you move to a new city, same thing is probably just going to happen because it's what we change inside of us, where we are. And if we just go and we start over again, new city or new job, and we don't change some things, we don't learn some things, we can get caught in the same spiral pattern. Things will be different and there can be similar feelings, right? So, the clock is ticking, right? Like every day we're getting closer to death. But it's not a threat. It's like, it's it's an invitation. It's an invitation to live now, and to be present to now, and to plan wisely and to adjust gently because things are different for everybody. It becomes very situational. And so, you know, this is the second to last slide on this talk. And it's not like, you know, I didn't plan on finishing this talk with a solution because the solution's different for everybody. My intention with this was bringing awareness to burnout because I I was burned out and I still do get burned out sometimes and I need to come back to center and I need to come back to stillness and I need to say, "Okay, I'm feeling burned out this week. What happened? I didn't get enough sleep. I exercised too much. I went out too many nights. I worked too much. I was giving too much. I was holding space too much." Okay, well, this went up and that went down. And how can I just learn to have a little bit more stillness, more stability in that sense, more balance? And as things change in time, they'll change for us too. So, you know, we have some time for Q&A. I'm very curious to hear what people think. This is a topic I could talk a lot about, but I wanted to keep it short and sweet so we all don't get fatigued and burned out. Um, so thank you very much for attending. And yeah, we'll open up to some questions here.
I'll start. It's Christina. Thank you so much, Josh. This is really cool to see this presentation and brings together, like, I was really intrigued by the combination of psychedelic medicine and the journey with psychedelics for healing paired with um, my journey on financial independence. And I don't see many people talking about the intersection of those two things. And so it's really, it was cool to weave some of those threads together and see how you do that here. I wanted to ask you more about nervous system regulation, or I would love maybe just to even hear your story about identifying um, some healing for your body when you were dealing with those conditions and what that process looked like as you learn more about how your body responds to emotional work and reducing your mind and your how your body responded to your mind and your emotion, and what work that you did on that front.
Yes, great question. And in short, to touch upon this concisely because it's a story. But, for me, I was very numb for a very long time. I was not feeling my emotions. I was not processing like anything. I was just I was just walking around. I was just a body. And what really helped me get more in my body was a combination of things. The big one was really movement, dancing. And because dancing stimulates the body, dancing regulates the nervous system, and dancing in community, dancing with the same people was a big thing for me in my healing journey. So once or twice a week here in New York City or wherever I am in the world, I go to Five Rhythms, and it's a guided meditation movement class, and it's a community. And there is a spiritual element too, where one can pray and one can connect with the divine. And so these things help like percolate things for me and got me to really look at things differently. And once I was able to really look at things differently, it opened up a door for me. And once that door was open, I could go to the next thing and I could go to the next thing. And so I'm in movement, and I was able to take stepping stones to get me into the next chapter season of my life. Psychedelics similarly, and psychedelics can really help, allow people to process their emotions. And when they're able to process emotions, they can get in their body and have very deep, powerful somatic experiences. And the body will vibrate, the body will shake, the body will move, and the body will also release. And so when the body releases, I feel lighter. I feel more levity. I feel more joy. I feel more laughter. When I have more levity, more joy, more laughter, I'm lighter and I can keep going with that energy. And that energy brings me up as opposed to the opposite of being stuck and weighted down. I'm going to pause there. Does that sort of shine a light? This is something I could talk a lot
Yeah,
about.
yeah, it was great to hear about the dancing and more about how you see the connection between psychedelics and emotions in the body. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for your curiosity, and thank you for being here. Who else? Yeah, go for it, Jordan.
Hey, Josh. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know if it's a question per se. I guess just kind of my situation and if you have any reflections on it, but it's almost like so like I know what I need to do and what I'm avoiding and what it's costing me. Part of me does. And then when it comes to the moments to do the things, it's just like, whatever is driving me, I just end up not doing what I know I'm supposed to do. So, I mean, and the reflection questions are always great, but it's like I know the answers to all of them. And it's almost like watching a train wreck. Sometimes I say like especially in the moment, like sometimes I'll become aware in the moment that I'm choosing the choice that's not for my best and my highest good, towards this goal, like going to bed early on time, like, and so like I say, it's like watching a train wreck because it's like I'm watching, like it feels like I can't do anything about it because I'm literally aware in the moment, and some part of me is choosing to just, so yeah, I don't know, it's weird, but. Um, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
What comes to my mind is how do you keep yourself accountable?
I think that's a big part of the, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. Honestly, I don't have a good system for that. I haven't been able to figure it out. And when you were talking about the cost of not doing things, one of the biggest ones that came up for me is like losing trust in yourself. And I feel like that I'm in a really bad spot with that because again, like I know, like I'll plan to do things and I'll plan my whole day and I know that that's what's going to be best for me, at least a lot of them. And then there's just this, like I just end up disregarding it or this other part takes over at the end of the day when I'm tired and I just end up impulsively doing, just being impulsive and random rather than sticking to like the plan kind of thing. And um, I think I lost my train of thought there a little bit, but yeah, just like well, losing trust in yourself, and that makes it hard to like who's keeping who accountable, like within myself, like which part of me, which if I already know that that part of me is going to ignore the part of me that wants what's best for me, and there's this weird, so I feel like a big part of my work right now is like integrating these parts or getting them like in an IFS way, like figuring out the different needs of these different aspects, but. So I don't know, that might be a little bit of a different topic, but yeah.
Well, thank you for, this, there's a lot here. And, I don't, I don't know the full situation, the full scope of things, but yeah, trust in self is important, and there will definitely be times in life where we lose trust in ourselves. And it's, I'll ask myself when it's like, oh my God, like, why did I do that? Like, well, how can I come back to myself? And how can I care for myself? A technique that I do for myself is I call it deep self-care mode, where it's just I'm going to the spa. Um, just chilling. I'm turning off my phone, no computer. I'm taking a hike, going to the beach, just doing nothing, watching the waves come and go so that I can just disconnect and come back to myself. And also notice where was or is my energy enmeshed, because it's easy, especially today, with allowing our energy to get enmeshed in other things. So the mind might keep thinking about something in the news. The mind might keep thinking about that Facebook post that you saw, that Instagram post. And so it's hooked in the mind. So how do I get unhooked by that? And so for me, it's caring for myself and slowing down. All right, I'm noticing I'm not balanced right now. I'm not stable. And I want to slow down and I want to come back to center. And what do I need to do that too? So, that's there's a lot with what you're sharing, and I think I think you purchased a ticket where we have a drop in, so we
Hmm.
can certainly talk more about it there for
Absolutely, yeah.
sure, and we can see. But the main thing I'm thinking for hearing is self-care, accountability, slowing down, especially with anything impulsive too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we can definitely get more into it. I don't want to. I know I did a lot there for sure. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Tim? or
Oh,
you
sorry. Yeah, I have my husband's name. Yeah, this is Nikki. I wanted to say thanks to Jordan for bringing up his share because it just made me think like something that came to my mind too that I think is a resistant point for me when I've felt that way is sometimes I think to your same point, Josh, about the self care is just like not having that radical self love for yourself where you're not trying to get yourself to do things because you should do them, or there's like that kind of like harsh critic or parent that's like, oh, you got to do this. This is good for you, which I think a lot of times we've been raised with that kind of like harsher voice. And that always brings up resistance in my own being when I feel like I should be doing something. Okay, this is the right thing to do. This is what's good for me. And then there's just like this rebelliousness in a way of like, no, I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it. But if I kind of reframe it as like, how do I give myself more love and self care? So, like, going to sleep early is not like this parent saying, you should be doing this. Like, it's going to be so much better for you. But it's like my way of giving myself this sense of like, I deserve to just rest and like lay in bed and just like give myself that sense of kind of like a self compassion, and I'm not doing it because it's the right thing to do, it's good for me, yada yada, but I'm doing it because I care for myself and I deserve it, and I deserve to just not do anything for the day because I just need to rest, or I just need to chill. I don't know. That always helps me as a sense of a reframe about the things that I know I should be doing or are good for me. It's a perspective shift, I guess. So, anyways, yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Jordan, and also Joshua for the conversation.
Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. And it's funny, that's definitely something I've been working on, and it really is like even when Josh was talking, I'm thinking, being reminded of it's very much this like child-parent relationship internally. It's very interesting, and I've even been learning how to deal with myself by like I live with my best friend now, and he has a single father, so like watching an actual parent-child relationship and then applying that to my own inner parent-child, it's so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it absolutely is like you're right, like being kinder rather than like yelling at that, part of you. And that's what a lot of you get mad at yourself, or that doesn't help. It just makes you feel worse and makes that like little inner child, want to run away and hide even more. So, um, yeah, just being more loving and like showing them and convincing, like, be like, this is, we're doing this for, for the better of this other thing. So, but
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up as well. It's absolutely, it's hard to do. It's hard to remember to do it a lot of the time. That's the challenging part.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like especially when our voices haven't always been like, the kind, compassionate, that's
Hmm.
what we haven't been programmed with that because maybe we didn't have that as children, or we had more of the tough coach, the tough parent, and so then we have to it takes a lot of work to bring in the gentle, compassionate voice. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
absolutely the journey I'm on. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for your questions and for attending today. Um, yeah, this is a topic that I feel very strongly about, and I'm glad you all came. And look forward to seeing you all at the next one.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you.
bringing this up. You put a word to what I've been dealing with. I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was burnout. And when you shared walking around with like no feeling, that also resonated because I've been feeling so numb after feeling so excited about all these things. Now I'm just like, I just don't even know. So thank you for sharing that and for providing the space.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much as well.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.